It's time for another Trope Count, where we count all the traditional small-town, hot cocoa romance tropes in a Hallmark Christmas movie. The goal? Find the movie that racks up the most tropes. Will it be today's film? Let's find out. The great Hallmark Christmas film must fit the Hallmark feel-good formula. It's a genre of film with repetitive movie tropes that we all love. We all identify the tropes in the 4 trope categories: story, character, Christmas, and activity. It's all very scientific, and it's fueled by hot cocoa. Today we take a look at the 2015 Hallmark film, A Christmas Melody, starring Lacey Chabert, Brennon Elliot, and Mariah Carey. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert, a failed fashion designer moves back to her hometown in Ohio, reconnects with her daughter's music teacher and high school rival, and falls in love at the end with the help of Santa's Christmas magic. So grab some Christmas cookies and write an original Christmas song. Let's count the tropes that make up A Christmas Melody. Kristen is played by the Queen of Hallmark and former child actress Lacey Chabert. Lacey played Claudia Salinger on Party of 5 for 6 seasons. She's closing up her store, K Boutique, for the final time. A sign says her shop lost its lease, but another says she went out of business. Either way, before she shuts the door for the last time, she owns a small business, so we will count it. As she walks away from the store, she encounters a white-bearded homeless man asking for change, holding a sign that says, "We'll work for food, bless you." She hands him the frame with a $5 bill in it from the store's first sale transaction. She tells him that it doesn't mean anything to her anymore, and maybe it'll bring him more luck than it brought her. He replies, "Bless you," and she wishes him a Merry Christmas. Back at her house, she packs up boxes with her friend Haley. Kristen will be moving back to her hometown from California to the small towns of Silver Falls, Ohio. Haley is not happy with the plan to see her friend go and tries to convince her to stay by reminding her that she's a great clothing designer and that moving to Ohio is not going to advance her career. For example, look at this couture dress she created from the hideous bridesmaid's dress. For those who are unaware like me, couture means creating it from scratch. Kristen doesn't want to leave LA either, but she has her dad's house that she inherited back in her old hometown. It's a free house and has been sitting empty since her father passed away. This plan is probably for the best. It's been hard on Kristen ever since Emily's father, Kristen's husband, passed away. It'll be good for them to be around family to help raise Emily. Being a single parent has been difficult, especially now that she's a widow. The sacrifice is that she has to give up on her dream of being a clothing designer for now, but her main priority is Emily. Her daughter Emily overhears Kristen is ready to give up on her dream of writing her own music and singing since everybody else is as well. Unhappy to hear her daughter gives up, Kristen tells her just because you are leaving doesn't mean you give up on the things you love, and they both reassure Emily that she will love it in Ohio. That night, Kristen and Emily talk. Kristen reminds her that it is almost Christmas and asks Emily what she wants Santa to bring her this year. Emily has a wish but doesn't think Santa will fulfill it. Kristen thinks she does, since you're never too old to not believe in Christmas wishes. Later, Emily is still awake and writes a letter to Santa asking him to find a way to keep them in California. At the same time, Kristen makes a wish to Santa to give Emily the best and most wonderful Christmas. A shooting star flies across the sky, but whose wish will be granted? The next morning, Kristen and Emily travel from LA to Ohio, torturing each other by singing the 12 Days of Christmas. As they get close to Ohio, Kristen calls her Aunt Sarah that they are an hour away and will be going to the house to get settled. Danny, played by Brennon Elliot, is eating at the diner and overhears that Kristen is coming back home. He had a mad crush on her in high school. Every guy did, but they traveled in other circles. Kristen was popular and he was just the band geek. Kristen arrives at her dad's home and is excited that Aunt Sarah left a goodie basket with a red Folgers coffee can for the first of 2 gratuitous product placements. If you're unaware, the red Folgers coffee can was a staple of the early Hallmark films, and I feel bad for anybody that has to drink that horrible swill. Emily is sleeping in Kristen's childhood room, and to help her sleep, Kristen tells her a Christmas memory about building a snowman when she was her age, but Emily didn't hear the end because she falls asleep. It's a very boring story anyways. The next morning on the way to school, Emily mails her letter to Santa. They meet the new principal, who takes Emily to her classroom. While she is signing papers, the secretary tells Kristen that the PTA meeting is about to start if she is interested. Hoping to be more involved, Kristen heads over to the room. On the way, Kristen runs into Melissa, played by Mariah Carey. Melissa instantly recognizes her and says, "Kristen Randall?" Kristen replies, "Well, now it's Parsons." But not to be outdone, Melissa replies, Melissa McKeon Atkinson, married 12 glorious years, 3 children, huge 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2-story home. Her husband is a dentist and shows off her ring, which was the 10th anniversary present. Kristen replies, that's a lot of numbers, and Melissa notices Kristen doesn't have her wedding ring on and comments,
there's no point in settling.
Kristen heads to the PTA meeting with Melissa, sadly discovering that Melissa is head of the PTA and is in charge of planning the annual School Snowflake pageant. Melissa asks her why she's back in Silver Falls, especially since she couldn't wait to get out of town. Kristen replies, sometimes dreams change.
People don't.
Meanwhile, Emily joins her new class with the teacher, asking the students to welcome her. Emily sits next to Abigail and her friends who all give her nasty looks. Being the new student in school just sucks. At the meeting, Melissa asks the PTA to welcome the new single mom to the group. They discuss the Snowflake pageant. The costumes are being covered by Team AAH, which stands for Angela, April, and Holly. The kids will be practicing all week, singing and dancing with the music teacher, Mr. Collier. Melissa is counting on everybody to make this the biggest pageant ever, with lots of ticket sales. Kristen raises her hand and asks if her daughter can audition for the pageant. Melissa tells her no, because the auditions are closed, and they move on to discuss adding gluten-free items to the bake sale. After the meeting, Kristen looks for the music teacher, unaware that she went to school with him. Danny reminds her they dissected a frog in science class, but Kristen just doesn't recall. She asks if Emily could audition for the pageant. Danny, of course, says he will give her an audition after school. Emily had a horrible first day. She meets the school janitor, who tells her that the first day is always the worst. He introduces himself as Thomas, but to no surprise, he really is Santa Claus with the worst fake beard. He also is the homeless man at the beginning of the film. Emily is surprised he knows her name, and he reminds her that he knows every child's name. He tells her to be more optimistic and take a negative turn and turn it into a positive. Emily attempts to introduce Thomas to her mother, but turns around and he's gone. At the audition, Emily sings Deck the Hall, but stumbles over the words la 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 la. Even though she messed up, Danny says she's in the show and should show up for the pageant practice after school tomorrow. Not sure what you see in her, Danny. They stop at the diner to tell Aunt Sarah the good news, and Sarah asks Kristen how it feels to be back. She says nothing has changed. The house and school, it's all the same. She tells Sarah that she also ran into Melissa McKeon. Sarah says she is meaner than tar and maybe has a big heart deep, deep down. Sarah asks Kristen if she saw anybody else. She tells her that she ran into Danny Collier. Sarah remembers how he had a huge crush on Kristen. Unfortunately, Kristen can't remember him. Sarah reminds her that she was just way into boy bands and couldn't wait to get out of town. Sarah asks her about her job plans, but Kristen doesn't really know, and accepts a job waiting tables at Sarah's diner for the Christmas holiday. The next day at the pageant rehearsal, we learn that Melissa's daughter is Abigail, the girl who made fun of Emily's clothes. Melissa reminds her that she is the best and don't be shy. She goes on to say,
I didn't spend all that money on dance lessons for you to just fade into the scenery. That's my little superstar. Now get out there and kill it for mommy.
Danny overhears and seems disturbed. They run out of time for Emily to practice, and Danny tells her that she has real talent and is good enough for her own solo. He tells Emily he knew her mom as a teenager. She was a great student who loved art and fashion. Emily asks her, what did you think of her? And Danny responds that she was amazing. She was fearless and she could achieve anything. At the diner, Emily tells her mom that Danny, also known as Mr. Collier, thinks she is good enough for her own solo. Kristen thanks him for taking her under his wing, but expected Emily to come home saying she ruined her life. That will come, Kristen. That will come. At school, Kristen runs into Thomas, the janitor. He heard this year's pageant was going to be the best ever. Kristen heard that as well. Danny, Kristen, and Emily visit a tree farm to pick out a Christmas tree. Kristen jokes that they will start a new tradition by picking out a tree that is as tall as Santa. They pick out a Scotch pine, and that tree is native to the state of Ohio. Emily points out that this is her first Ohio tree for her first Ohio Christmas. At the house, they set up the tree and it almost falls over. Emily finds the Christmas ornaments and invites Danny to stay for dinner. After dinner, Danny asks Kristen what happened to Emily's dad. Kristen recounts that he passed away when Emily was only 2 years old, and it's part of the reason why Kristen wants to move back with her family. Kristen, for some reason, shares Emily's journal with Danny. Looking through the journal, he says that her poetry is really good and suggests that they should combine the two and write an original song for the pageant. Kristen points out that she's only 9 years old and is a bit of a perfectionist. They finish their dinner with a cup of Folgers coffee. At school, the kids try on their costumes and they are awful. The principal reminds Melissa that the money raised by the pageant funds the music program for the entire year. The costumes need to be fun with a little bit more bedazzling. Emily suggests that they use her mom to help with the costumes. After all, she is a fashion designer. Everybody's in favor of it except Melissa. This isn't a democracy, she is in charge, as she says. Kristen agrees to help and Melissa eventually agrees. Danny stops by the house to work on Emily's song and Kristen is making the costumes. Emily tells Danny she sent a letter to Santa and now wants to change her wish. He suggests that the song be a way to tell Santa about her wish change and begins to write the song. The next day, Kristen and the kids try on the costumes. The kids are so excited about them that they tell Emily her mom is cool. Abigail says that her mom is buying her a store-bought costume that is tasteful and won't need Kristen to make her one. Emily heads over to music practice and runs into Thomas, aka Santa. She tells him that she wrote a song telling him her revised Christmas wish, and she asks Santa if he will be at the pageant. Thomas, or Santa, says he has big plans Christmas Eve, but wouldn't miss it for the world. If that doesn't reveal that Thomas is Santa, I'm not sure what is. Kristen runs into Danny as she is doing some last-minute shopping. She is wearing her third different coat, which gives us the multiple coats 3 or more trope. Kristen asks how he got into teaching. Danny's dream was to be a rock star. He was in a band that had some cross-country college circuit gigs, but it took a toll on him and he quit his dream and discovered that teaching was enjoyable, and now teaching is his dream. It starts to snow, and Kristen forgot what snow feels like and stands in the road and twirls. She proclaims, "I love you, Silver Falls." Danny, afraid she's going crazy, quickly whisks her away. The next day, Danny drops off Emily after practice and helps them decorate the tree. Danny begins putting tinsel on the tree and proclaims that lint makes the tree look better. Whatever that means. Danny leaves Emily to place the star on top, and they light up the tree. There's a knock at the door, and it's Kristen's friend Haley from California. She decided to come in person and tell Kristen the good news. She showed Kristen's work to the heads of a department store, and they want to buy her clothes and make her own collection. They will pay for all her moving costs back to LA. Kristen is shocked and now has to contemplate what to do. Danny, not wanting to hear the news, makes an excuse and leaves, giving us the third act misunderstanding. He doesn't stick around to hear that Emily really doesn't want to move back to LA. At school, Santa sees that Emily is upset. She changed her wish to the song she wrote, but Santa's still granting her old wish to go back to LA. Santa knows what the problem is. She mailed the list, but hasn't sung her song yet. When she does sing it, Santa will hear the wish and grant it. It's the night of the pageant, and Danny is distant towards Kristen, who is fitting everybody into their new costumes. Everybody congratulates Kristen on the amazing costumes except for Melissa. She is upset that Kristen make her daughter a costume, even though Abigail insisted she not make one. Luckily, Kristen ignored Abigail and made an extra costume in case she changed her mind. Melissa is shocked and annoyed and reluctantly thanks her. The principal suggests that Kristen become a permanent member of the PTA, which annoys Melissa. Kristen pulls Emily aside to discuss moving back to LA. She promises that she will not make any life choices without her input, and they will talk after the pageant. The show begins, and the principal thanks Melissa for her work on the pageant and gives Kristen a special thanks for making the costumes, which it continues to annoy Melissa. The 3 girls are up first singing Jingle Bells dressed as angels. During the show, Sarah and Haley gossip about Danny and the budding romance between them. Next up is the magician, and Sarah and Haley notice that Danny is sitting at the piano looking sad and depressed. They probably notice that he isn't playing the piano because the music is clearly pre-recorded, giving him nothing to do. After the 2 acts, they have a brief intermission already, and Kristen talks to Danny. Danny knows she's going to leave, but she tells him that she is turning down the job and not moving. Emily is finally happy in Ohio and is going to turn down her dream again. Maybe she can start a business here. She apologizes she didn't know Danny when they were kids, but she sees him now. Danny asks her on a date and they have an almost kiss, but are interrupted by the principal thanking the audience for their support for their very successful gluten-free bake sale. Next up, Emily sings her original song with all the kids helping perform it. The audience loves it except for Melissa, and Santa dances in the back of the room. Danny and Kristen give us the final kiss while sitting at the piano, and Santa leaves to deliver his presents. Emily's wish came true, with Christmas magic bringing the couple together. On Christmas morning, Emily gets a puppy while Santa flies over the house, answering Emily's wish to stay in Silver Falls. So how many tropes are in A Christmas Melody? Let's count them. Looking at the numbers, the film where a single mother, widowed fashion designer whose business closes or loses her lease moves from California to her small hometown where she runs into her high school rival who only responds in front of a green screen and blur filter to hide her age, in a school where Santa Claus cleans the toilets, sews costumes for the pageant, gives up on her dream twice, reconnects with her daughter's music teacher who gives her daughter her own solo because he finds Kristen pretty. They all fall in love at the end. If we add up the different categories, A Christmas Melody has a total of 31 tropes. I can't pretend that this movie is good. It's not, and the first time it aired, I actually turned it off. The stories are typical for a Hallmark movie, but that is not why I don't care for it. The production and execution is terrible. This was Mariah Carey's directorial debut. However, I've read and listened to a number of interviews speculating that she was a director in name only. When she is on screen, most of her lines are delivered as a single shot from a very stylized camera filter that blurs it. The shots were clearly filmed separately from the other actors, and it's quite noticeable. Lacey and Brennon make this film work even with the challenges they were given. When Carey is not on screen, the film plays out like a typical Hallmark film, and I actually like those parts. Before you accuse me of being a Mariah Carey hater, I must point out that I'm actually indifferent to her. I don't follow her career, and other than the Christmas song that she sings, I'm not really familiar with her. The one big question I had after this movie was, why didn't Mariah Carey sing in her own Christmas film? The Christmas Melody contains the traditional tropes of a dead family members, along with a variety of Christmas tropes. The film does contain not one, but two gratuitous product placements with the red Folgers coffee cans. Did I miss any tropes? If so, tell me in the comments below. A Christmas Melody has 31 tropes, placing it below Northern Lights of Christmas. Will the next film rank higher? We will see with the next trope count featuring Alicia Witt, Mark Weeb Hallmark film, A Very Merry Mix-Up from 2013. How will that movie rank? Click on the subscribe button to be alerted to when that episode is released if you want to find out. I'm the Christmas aficionado, and remember, stay off the naughty list.
That's my little superstar. Get out there and kill it for mommy.